Hello again, it's Linda Hayes, this time coming to you from Canada. It's my first trip back after 13 months in Belize, in Ambergris Caye. So I want to go through some of the things that you need to do if you're traveling back to Canada from Belize, and this is going to be helpful for you because it was a little confusing more than I had thought. I've had many friends coming to visit lately from Canada, so a lot of them gave me some input on what would be helpful as well, and now that I've done it myself, I thought it was time for a video. So I'm going to start with showing the first step of what we did to get off the island of Ambergris Caye while I was at Caring Hands Clinic. And you're going to notice my hat looks kind of funny. It looks like I'm wearing a sombrero because of the nice breeze that we had, but I will start that video now.
Hello everyone, it's Linda Hayes coming to you from beautiful Ambergris Caye, Belize, where it's a beautiful sunny day. You can see a Mayan airplane right here. This is the flight you would take from the mainland as one option, and then the other one is Tropic Air, which you can see right there. So that is a Tropic Air airport terminal there, and right here I'm outside the Caring Hands Clinic where I'm waiting for my PCR test to get back into Canada. So when you come into Caring Hands and you request a PCR test, it's $200 US. And right now they said the wait for us is only about 15 to 20 minutes because there was no one ahead of us. So we're just waiting for that, and then we will be flying back to Canada tomorrow.
So I'll get more into the testing details of when you're leaving the country, what you need to do in a few slides. But just to talk a little bit about why I'm coming back to Canada now in January and when it's winter time, which a lot of people are asking me. So really what happened is I came to Belize December of 2020, and because of all the rules with COVID, I ended up staying because I didn't want to do the hotel quarantine. And then after being there and thinking I was going to go home, I decided it made more sense to stay for a year. Because if you do that, you can apply for permanent residence, and you can only leave the country 50 out of 52 weeks. So I haven't actually been back to Canada until now, and because I applied for my permanent residence, I submitted the application on January 25th. I did that, and then I flew out the next day because there's a lot of things to catch up with after being gone for 13 months. Lots of people to see and things to do, and after a couple weeks here, I will be back in Belize. So first I'm going to talk about the flight options when you're getting back to Canada. So usually you could fly on WestJet or Air Canada, and they have direct flights between the time of November and April. Other options are to fly from the US or Mexico. And when I actually came December 2020, all of the flights were canceled on WestJet, which is who I usually fly with. So I actually went into Mexico on WestJet, and then I took a Tropic Air flight to get into Belize City. Now this year, things are a bit different. So WestJet is flying still to Belize like they usually do November to April, but Air Canada has no flights. And right now WestJet, you can fly to and from on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and they go through Toronto only, whereas before you could also go through Calgary. So if you are booking a trip, I'd recommend, even if you see Calgary on the itinerary, maybe transfer through Toronto, because those are the ones they tend to keep when they cancel the Calgary connections. Now what we did is our flight left Belize City on Wednesday at 2:45 p.m. So we first took the puddle jumper plane on Tropic Air this time to get to Belize City. And after that, we connected on to our WestJet flight into Toronto. And I'm going to get into a lot of details of that because it was actually very confusing to me when I got into Toronto. So that's what I want to go through here. And basically what happened is we got to Edmonton at about 1 in the morning. So as I showed in the video, you need to get a PCR test in Belize before coming back to Canada. And it has to be within 72 hours. That's one thing I didn't mention. We didn't even need to book an appointment at Caring Hands. They told us when one of my friends was leaving the week before that we could just pop in. So that is what we did. And as you know, it was very easy to do that part of it. So the other thing you have to do in addition to the PCR test is download the Arrive Canada app. And I put a little picture at the airport there that goes through the details. So you have to fill in a whole bunch of required information. And I was able to fill in everything for myself and also add my daughter who was traveling with me. So each person traveling doesn't have to do it separately. So you need to have your contact information, travel details, your vaccination information, talk about the fact that you need your pre-test and your travel history. And also you need to provide what your quarantine is in case you need to. And the rules basically are that when you get back to Canada, you need potentially to get another PCR test. Luckily, we don't have to pay for this one, and I'll get into details on that soon. But basically, you would quarantine just till you got your test results, which I'll talk about more. And once the Arrive Canada app is filled out, you're going to get a QR code that you show to the airline agent. I put a picture of what my QR code looks like on my phone, just so you can see what you would expect to have that you have to present when you get to the airport. And then once you arrive in Toronto, you're going to likely be selected for an arrival test. So you can see the sign I put there that says mandatory random testing in effect. So if you're selected, you have to get a COVID test at the airport. Now, the way you know if you're going to be selected, once you go through customs in Toronto, if you have a green sticker on your passport, you don't need to get the test at the airport. But if it's a pink one, or I saw some people that had a red one, that means you need it. One of my friend that left last week said about 80% of the people on his flight were selected. On my flight, we had 6 people waiting at baggage at the beginning and that we were talking to, and 2 of us had the pink and the rest had the green. So I guess it just depends. Now, one thing I didn't know about that I really wish I had done, and I should have followed what the details were. It said on the QR code right about the middle in blue, it says register in advance for your COVID-19 test. If you click that, it will be very good, because when I got there, I hadn't done that because I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to get the test. Why do I want to register for it? And it was definitely something I should have done, because it ended up being that I had to register for Switch Health, and that made it a little more stressful for me because I didn't have that downloaded. Now, luckily I had Wi-Fi, I was able to do it, but it took a long time. And because I had a connection, it just was a little stressful. I had no problems at all making it through and lots of time for my connection. But if you can, make sure you go and register for Switch Health in advance so that you just don't have that extra stress. So one thing that was different than what I'm used to when I fly with WestJet is I actually had to pick up my bags in Toronto and then go through customs like I normally do. And usually the bags don't get picked up with WestJet, although they do with other airlines. So I was already told this by my friend, so I knew that would be the case. My bags were tagged all the way to Edmonton. So what I did is I got to Toronto, went through customs, then I went to the testing site where I had to register, as I mentioned, since I hadn't done that. And then I went to get the test. Once testing's complete, you have to follow the signs to connections and then go find the WestJet area and where the bag drop is and put your bag there, and then you go through security again. So important to note that, just in case you have water with you from that one plane, you are having to go through security once again. Then once you're home, what you have to do is quarantine until you get the notification of your test results. They say 3 to 5 days, but my friend who got home last week said he got it the next day. And in my case this time, we got the test results on Friday by 9 a.m. We got an email saying our test results were available. We had to log into Switch to get those results, and we were both negative, so that's great news. It's Friday right now and we have a birthday party to go to, so I was very happy to get those results. So overall, I'm really happy that we got our results Friday morning, first thing, even though we didn't get our test till Wednesday night. So it was way better than waiting 3 to 5 days, because I would really not like to quarantine the whole weekend when I'm only visiting for a couple of weeks. So when you are planning a trip, make sure you include the COVID entry and exit tests into your budget. So getting into Belize, it's $50 US on arrival, but you can find cheaper options in Canada. I've had friends that have tried both ways. And then of course, budget for your PCR test on departure. Now, hopefully at some point the government will change and allow rapid tests or no tests at all. A lot of countries are changing what they're doing now, so it might make it easier in terms of the pocketbook. But traveling right now is something a lot of people want to do just because we've been cooped up at home for a couple of years. I was very happy that I came into Belize and spent the last 13 months there, because obviously it's a lot warmer throughout the year. We're dining outside almost all the time. There's hardly any indoor restaurants, and we have a great group of friends there, and I have never caught COVID the whole time I've been there. So despite hanging out with lots of different people, meeting lots of tourists, having a great time, I never actually caught it anyway. So I really recommend, if you are thinking of coming to Belize, watch my other videos and don't be afraid of coming to see what it's like here. It is English speaking, and that's why a lot of people like it as well. So I have put a couple of my YouTube playlist QR codes in here if you haven't watched some of those already, and make sure you subscribe, because then you'll see as new content comes available, and I hope to see you in the next video.